All right, you're probably wondering why you're seeing our two faces again, and we're trying to be on line a little bit more for you guys. And this kind of goes to the original intent that we had with two guys talking, just two people talking, and we were just going to rap, and it was going to be like talking about whatever. And Megan and I were talking the other day after, I think it was after one of our podcasts
Mm-hmm.
with Annie, right?
Yeah.
And Megan asked me a question, and I thought it was like way out of left field. And we're going to talk about that tonight and see what you guys think, because this was new to me. I think it was
Mm-hmm.
new to Megan, and apparently it's a real thing. So, Megan, why don't you introduce that topic?
Why are we here? Yes. So the other night I was scrolling TikTok like as I do in the evenings, and I came across this video, and this woman was asking her boyfriend or husband how often he thinks of the Roman Empire, just on average. And I know it's random, but her husband just came out with an answer, and it was like, well, I think about the Roman Empire once a day, or I think about it once a week, or twice a week, or a few times a month, or every 7 hours was one of the answers. And so it was this trend, and I had to explore and do some of my own research. So I did. And I asked some of the men in my life, like, how often they think of the Roman Empire. And what was your response, Bill? What did you say? You said,
Never.
never. Bill never thinks about the Roman Empire. So he's an outlier. He is an outlier. So, but I also asked my friend Kyle, and he had an answer right away. I mean, he was very suspicious of what I was doing, and I wish we could play that video clip, and maybe we can. How often do you think about the Roman Empire?
What are you doing?
Just answer the question.
I don't know.
Do you think about it?
Yeah?
You do?
Yeah?
How how often?
I don't know. Like, not daily.
Like once a week?
I guess. What are you doing?
What do you think about it? Why do you think about it?
I don't know. Just, it comes up. I don't know. I watch the History Channel a lot.
Yeah, it's this really interesting thing. It was really surprising to me, and maybe it's not that surprising to some of you men, because you guys are obviously thinking about it all the time. But it was surprising to me, and I think to Bill too, since
It was very surprising that this was even a thing. And my first suspicion was, well, why are women asking men this question?
yeah,
Like, are they thinking about it too?
no, we're never thinking about it. Just know
So
that we're not.
so,
Yeah, we're not.
so the other thought is, well, if women aren't thinking about it, but women are asking the question, what compelled them to ask the question? So obviously, some fraction
Somewhat,
of men
yeah.
are talking about it, and a woman overheard and said, "What the frick is this about?" And
Right.
it became a thing on at least TikTok. And then
Right.
as Megan said that, and we talked a little bit, I started seeing Roman Empire everywhere. It's kind of like when you drive
everywhere.
a certain car, right? Like you get a brand new car, or you get a new to you used car or whatever, and all
Uh-huh.
of a sudden you've never seen that car on the road, you've never seen that color, and all of a sudden you see six that day.
Yeah.
That's what happened to me with Roman Empire, and it's like, okay, this is weird. Is this one of
It's
those? Is this one of those phenomenon where it's always been there and you just didn't pay attention to it, or was it the universe sending us a message that said maybe we should look into this? So
ooh.
we're painting you with our do your own research.
Yeah. Yes. That's really interesting. And um So I was asking everybody about this, and I was talking to my friend Tasha because I posted this on Facebook because I posted it with one of the responses on a text message. And my friend Tasha, I hope it's okay that I talk about you. Her husband, she texted me this. She's sitting with her husband, and she says, Luke said, she gave me a list. These are the top conversations among men, right? These are the top list of conversations that you guys talk about. Tell me if you find this to be true. World War II, aliens, the Roman Empire, and how the pyramids were built.
Oh my God. That is just nuts. So I'm going to tell you this. I think, okay, my wife can tell you, and my family can tell you, and Megan's going to learn soon enough, if she hasn't already, that I have a theory about everything.
Okay,
I don't know anything, but I have theories.
We have to make sense of this somehow. So I love that you have a theory, and I can't wait.
So I have two theories about. One is specifically about the Roman Empire.
Okay.
And the second one is about what you just said.
Okay.
Which is, I believe that most men, and I don't know what the percentage is, I'm just spitballing here, more than 50% of men never grew up mentally past the age of 12. Because, and the reason I say that is, I have 4 kids. 2 of them are over 12. I know what their conversations are like. They're both boys, by the way. And they talk about the pyramids, and they talk about World War II. I don't know that they've talked about the Roman Empire, and what was the other one? There were 4, right?
Aliens, the Roman Empire.
Aliens.
Yes.
Yeah, not so much. But I had a good friend that I spent like a lot of time with. We used to do meetups when I lived in the Bay Area, and it was all about marketing. And he and I would drive to the event, and it was once a month, and we did it for like 10 years. So I got to know this guy pretty well, and he's older than me, like a lot older than me. And he was always talking about this TV show. I think it was on the History Channel. I'm not sure. Which ties into what you told me earlier in that video that we're going to try to insert into this one with some funky editing. It was this show called Ancient Aliens. How like they built all this crap and like something happened and it all disappeared, and now we're just like reinventing that stuff, and we're not nearly as like sophisticated as they were, or something like that. At least that's the gist I got.
Okay, because I've seen this show all over the place. Yeah, but I didn't realize because I never looked into it.
So theory number 1, and I'm going to get political real quick, but it's going to be brief.
Okay.
Every man, well, let's say this. Many men who are, and I can't be precise here because I've lost track of the definitions of the topical definition of conservative, libertarian, GOP, Republican.
Right.
Many men who self-describe themselves in that way, or in those ways, will refer you to a book called Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. Just file that away, and if you don't know who that is or what that book is, read about it. Look it up on Wikipedia or whatever, because it seems like kind of the quasi-Bible of libertarianism.
Really? I've never even heard of this.
But most people read it, and it's mostly boys. Most people read it when they're between 12 and 14, 15 years old. And that solidifies my theory that most boys don't really grow up past the age of 12.
What is it? What's the book?
It's a big-ass book. I own the book.
You have it?
Yeah.
It's a rite of passage?
It is. And I will tell you, I could never get into it. It was all baloney. I just could not get into it. But my best friend in high school, I think we were like freshmen at the time, so we were like 14 or 15. He was like, "This is the best book ever." Um, and that's where a lot of these ideas come from. Like,
Okay. Is it
I'm
like
not,
about
I'm not even.
war and conquering things and like, because I have a kind of a
It's
theory too. And
yeah.
mine is just that like men want to like conquer things and like um they just kind of maybe admire the Romans for, I mean, and then the movie Gladiator was brought up a lot.
Mm-hmm,
These
mm-hmm,
men
mm-hmm,
are watching the movie Gladiator
mm-hmm.
multiple times a month.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So that kind of leads into a nice segue into my more specific point, which was
Right.
about the Roman Empire. But it
Mm-hmm.
all goes back to that 12-year-old boy. Just think about a
Okay.
12-year-old boy. You knew
Okay.
12-year-old boys. You
Yeah.
have a, you know,
I have an
you know
8-year-old
12-year-old
boy.
boys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah,
He's close. Just
he's getting there. Yeah, he's going to be there.
um when you look at the humor that men like versus the humor that women like,
Mm-hmm.
you can't help but think that men are on a much more base, immature plane. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not to say all men, and that's not to say that we can't laugh at sophisticated jokes too, and whatever. But you know, fart jokes are still funny to most grown-up
Right.
men. You know,
Right.
um, you look at, I mean, you look at all these TikTok videos where the woman is dancing and farting at the same time, and they're getting millions of views. Men are watching those. I know women are watching
Okay.
them too,
They
but
might be, but those aren't coming up on my feed. Those are coming up on your feed.
no, they're coming up on our feed.
Are they?
I'm not seeking those out. They're right there. So,
That's
um,
funny.
maybe
Um,
it's because of the title, Two Guys, right?
yeah, so I guess we could look at it in two ways. Like one way is that it's like immature thinking, that it's just like I want to battle and play swords and fight and play gladiator. We could
Most
look
men
at it
don't grow
that
out of
way.
that.
So it's either that or it's like way more sophisticated than that because like I'm thinking about like I was talking to my friend Tasha, and her response to her husband was when he said that he thinks about the Roman Empire that much, she said, I think about cheese a lot. Like I'm not thinking about ancient civilizations. Like, what is it? Like there was one guy who actually had a list on his phone of like emperors and like just like detailed notes about the Roman Empire. And maybe it's I mean, maybe it's a mixture of both things. I don't know.
It could be. I mean, we could look for deeper, like, meaning and root causes and stuff, but I'm
Yeah.
going to stick to
It's
it's it's Occam's razor, right? It's the simplest explanation is usually the right one.
yeah.
Don't go looking for problems and don't go looking for like deeper things. It's that.
Right.
Going to the Roman Empire thing, I really think it's fear based, and
Ooh, okay.
we've
Oh,
all
like
heard of
they
fight
think
or
that our
flight.
society is going to crumble and then they're kind of looking for
Yes,
like, oh,
yes.
they're
Like
looking for ways
the
to
Roman,
save. You guys want to
yes,
save us. That's what it is. Men love saving things.
yes. But most of all, they're really in it about self interest. They're about saving themselves.
Saving themselves.
See, they
Okay.
think, or we think, that we are becoming weaker because you are becoming stronger.
Ooh,
And
scarcity
let's extend
mindset.
it.
Yeah.
White people do the same thing. We
Mm-hmm.
fear that we're getting weaker because people of color are getting stronger. And the
Right.
strength, generally speaking, is coming in numbers, right? Like in
Right.
this country, we used to be mostly white. Now I think if we're not already, and I forget the term, but if you were to basically split things in half, white, non-white,
Mm-hmm.
we are more non-white now than we're white
Right.
as a
Right.
country.
Right.
So we fear that. We fear that. That's why we see all of this talk about Mexico and a
It's that,
wall
yeah,
and send
it's
them back and all
right.
that stuff.
It's that
We
mindset of
fear that.
scarcity.
It
Yeah, it's
is.
that, yeah,
The
it's
pie is
not a
this big
pie. Mm-hmm.
and it's not getting bigger. And if you get a piece, I don't.
Right. It's absurd. Like, it's just a completely limited way of thinking about everything.
Mhm.
And it's kind of sad. Like,
And it's
it's
fear
really
based
sad,
though.
actually. Yeah.
And I think I'm going to give men an out here. I think it's hardwired. Think about at least what we've been told and been taught. And we're finding out that this wasn't really true, but
Hmm.
men were the hunters, women were the
Okay.
gatherers, and we were preyed on by predators, saber,
Hmm.
whatever, tigers, lions, whatever, elephants.
Right. Yeah.
Um, you guys weren't. You guys just sat at home and like collected berries,
Wait, what?
right?
I thought we were proving that wasn't true.
But that's what we've been taught.
That is
And
what
and
we've
I
been
think
taught. Yeah.
I think to an extent that was
Mhm.
true because men historically have been the bigger, stronger, and I dare say dumber side of the species in that we didn't have a problem hitting something over the head with a rock. You
Right.
know, it was like that's just what we do.
Okay.
And we think about it. We approach problems like modern day problems like that. Like everything, when everything looks like a when all you got is when all you have is a hammer,
Yeah.
everything looks like a nail. That's
Okay.
how we think. So it's interesting though that nobody on those lists, because we've heard this all the time,
Hmm.
nobody on those lists, and we're talking about men,
Hmm.
listed sex.
Okay.
There have been numerous studies that say people, and especially men, think about sex like every 7 seconds.
Right. Right. So if we ask that I mean, women probably do too. And
Yeah.
and I was so curious, like, because I was like, okay, well, they're thinking about the Roman Empire all the time, like, and aliens, and they're having conversations about the pyramids, and like those thoughts haven't crossed my mind in, I don't know, I don't remember. Maybe I do think about the pyramids, but I mean, we all do. So so um so I was like, what's the female equivalent of the Roman Empire? So I did some research and I found some videos, and the female equivalent to the Roman Empire is murder.
Oh my
Murder.
God.
We think about murder all the time. How people are getting murdered, if we're going to get murdered, the details of murder, this person's murder, a show we watched about murder, a podcast we listened to about murder. So, what does that mean? I mean, do you guys think
Yeah.
about it as much as that like as much as we do?
No, but it depends on kind of like you mentioned a whole bunch of things there, right? Like
Yeah.
why or what things about murder women think about,
Right.
right? My first reaction is that women think about murder of themselves, whereas most men don't, because it typically doesn't happen.
Okay.
At least,
Right, getting murdered. Okay.
right. Now,
Right.
we
Yeah.
all know somebody, or maybe many people, and we know that mass murders aren't really gender based. They're usually race based or ideology
Mm.
based, or you just happen to be in the same room.
Mhm.
Um, but, women experience a lot more violence
Right. Right.
against themselves. So I kind of
Absolutely.
think that's hardwired in too. Like,
Right.
how many men think about when you're in a dark parking garage late at night? How many
Right.
of them think about what am I
Am
going to
I
do
going to
if
get
somebody
murdered?
approaches me?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Immediately I think, like, every time I'm leaving a store, going into a parking garage, leaving somewhere at night, walking on a street, thoughts in my head are going about, what if I get murdered? What do I do when I encounter a murderer? What weapon am I going to use? How am I going to turn the murder on them? Like, how,
Mm-hmm.
like, and
Yeah.
it's racing. And And I think that we just casually think about it too, because, like, I mean, look at all of the TV that revolves around
Right.
murder. Like, it's because, I
Right.
mean, they wouldn't market it if it wasn't, I mean, if we weren't watching it.
Right.
Like
Like
it
some of the
wouldn't exist.
longest running and most popular TV shows are about murder. Back in the, I want to say the 80s, it was big. It was a big genre. There was Murder,
Yeah.
She Wrote. There was Magnum P.I. There was Simon. Now, these are crime, but
Right.
Murder, She Wrote was about murder. But,
Right.
you know, there were all these crime dramas. Now they've gotten,
True
I
crime.
think, even more prolific. Yeah. And now you can watch on the weekends. They have like these Dateline marathons on particular networks, and it's like, oh my God, can I get away from this? How do I watch something else right now?
No, it's
like
so
you
bad.
flip the channels and it's like this and that, and it's like this is a little much.
Or like Forensic Files and like Investigation Discovery. Those are like on my TV all the time in the living room.
Look at CSI and NCIS. I used to watch those all the time. My wife and I.
Right.
They're interesting as hell.
Oh,
but
yeah,
it's
I
like,
used to love CSI. Yeah.
It's all about murder.
It is. It is. Yeah. So the Roman Empire, I mean, so in conclusion, we have made some judgments about men and women.
Yes.
And some people might not like some of these judgments and generalizations that we've made, and that's okay. We're just talking about this, and it was a trend, and I'd love to hear what everybody else has to say about this. And men and women, I would love to know how much you guys think about the Roman Empire and how much you think about murder. I mean, put it in the comments. We would love to do some more research, maybe compile a paper.
That's right. That's right.
So thanks. Yeah, thanks you guys for listening, and we'll see you soon.